Hello, my name is Cate and welcome to February 2021 new book releases. What I have attempted to do in this video, and you'll have to let me know how you guys feel about this format, is instead of just like reading the synopsis, which is great, I personally think, because why improve on something that was professionally written, particularly when I haven't even read the book? What I've done instead is I've just tried to come up with short, almost like a 5 words or less is what I was shooting for, just synopsis about it, just like mostly trying to pick out keywords, just the things that stuck out to me as the main reasons that I was interested in the books. Now, I did not succeed in the 5 words or less thing on a lot of these, though a strong effort was made. I did as close as I could. It was kind of just like a target, and maybe if you guys like this format in the future, I'll improve. Or if you guys like this format, I thought about maybe something I could try is just on the spot try to come up with like a 5-word synopsis for the book, and then you guys can laugh while I struggle. I don't know. Let me know how you feel about that. So I suppose, without any further delay, because there are a lot of books that are coming out in February, we should just get into it. As always, I have these done by genre and then by release date within each genre, and there will be timestamps in the description box so that you can hop around to the genres that you are personally interested in. We're going to start with YA/middle grade. There's one that's kind of like for younger children in here, but I'm interested in it anyway. That is Ancestor Approved, Intertribal Stories for Kids by Cynthia Leitich Smith. It comes out February 9th. This is the intersecting stories of different people all set at a powwow, and I think it sounds really cool. One of my goals for the year is to read more books about Indigenous people by Indigenous authors, and I thought maybe this would be just a fun one to add. And it looks, if there are pictures, which I assume there will be since it's like a younger reader type book, and they're as beautiful as the cover, I think it's going to be just a very visually pleasing read as well. The last two in this category are both YA. First, we have the Gilded ones by Namina Forna. It comes out February 9th as well. This cover, oh my god, this cover is gorgeous. Basically, it's a girl who fails during this blood ceremony. Her blood is not the correct color, and she is faced with some difficult decisions. I think I'm gonna try this one. I have been searching for fantasy novels based on African cultures, mythology, etc. that actually feel as though they are set there, because a lot of the times I'll read these books that are supposedly based on African mythology or whatever, and it feels just like any other European-based novel to me, except they'll describe the protagonist and the other characters as having dark skin or curly hair. And like, that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is to be transported into this world and into the culture in which it was supposedly written in. And normally I feel like I could be in any basic status quo fantasy world. So I'm going to pick this one up and see how it compares to some of the other ones I've read. The only one I've been very happy with that I've read so far on that theme is Raybearer by Jordan Fuego. So hopefully this one will be along those lines. The final YA book that I am interested in is one that is a YA contemporary, which is not typically my thing. I'm very selective when it comes to YA contemporary because I just don't care about what teenagers are doing. Like, frankly, I was a teenager. It wasn't much fun. I don't want to go back there. But this one is interesting, and I think it confronts an important topic that I think teenagers need to read about and need to know about. That is We Are the Ashes, We Are the Fire by Joy McCullough. It comes out February 9th as well. Oh wow, all 3 of these come out February 9th. Essentially, you're following a teenage girl whose sister was raped at a frat party. and she's been trying to advocate for justice for her sister, and they are happy when the rapist is found guilty. However, he's not really given any jail time or anything, and that kind of naturally upsets the family. So I think it's a pretty heavy topic, but I think it's one that's important for teenagers to know about and be aware of, because I think it will help teens learn how their actions can affect other people, but also to learn how to keep themselves safe. Alright, let's try to make things a little happier. We're going into sci-fi and fantasy, and there are more than usual here, and most of them sound pretty exciting. First, we have Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. It comes out February 2nd. It's an interplanetary struggles. Main character has to solve a murder to prevent war. That's the basic synopsis there. Sounds kind of like a space opera type situation. I'm always down for that. Next up is probably one of the books I am most excited for, and that is A History of What Comes Next by Sylvain Neuvel. It also comes out February 2nd. This has a lot more than 5 words, because there's kind of a lot going on here, and I love Sylvain Neuvel. His The Themis Files series is just fabulous. So this one says reminiscent of Blake Crouch and Andy Weir, both good things to be compared to. A fast-moving, darkly satirical look at 1940s rocketry with an exploration of the amorality of progress and the nature of violence. A darkly satirical first contact thriller as seen through the eyes of the women who make progress possible and the men who are determined to stop them. Has very feminist vibes. It is written by a man, though, which we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to see if I think it's done well, because I think men can just as easily be feminist as women can. However, it's also hard, I think, to write from the point of view of an experience you've never had. So we'll see how he does. My past with him and his writing has all been very positive, though. Okay, this is one of the covers I'm most excited about because it's just gorgeous. The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichec comes out February 9th. The basic synopsis: there's a banished witch. It's surrounded by Norse mythology, and said witch falls in love with Loki, the Norse trickster god. I'm a big fan of Loki. I have a dog named Loki. That's how much of a fan I am. And I will be very interested in reading that when it comes out. Only a couple more in this category. We have The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. It comes out February 16th. The basics here, there are clones, there's an affair, and then someone gets murdered. Yeah, I mean, those are all things that sound very intriguing to me. From the clone aspect, basically, there's a woman, and her husband has an affair with her clone. I don't know, very weird. I'm down. So, I'm not personally interested in the next book. However, I know a ton of people who are fans of said series and want to read it, so I think I would be remiss to not include it, and that is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. It comes out February 16th. I don't care. I don't care about this book. If you want it, that's when it comes out. Next is another book that I'm probably not going to read, but it's a very loved series, so I thought I'd put it in here. It's The Galaxy and the Ground Within by Becky Chambers. Also comes out February 16th. It's book 4 in the Wayfarers series. I've only read book 1 and I liked it, but not enough to immediately try to go out and buy the next book in the series, if that makes sense. So maybe someday, but right now, not so much. Alright, next we're into mystery thrillers, and once again, I'm pretty sure they are all thrillers. The first one is The Survivors by Jane Harper. It comes out on February 2nd. However, based on what I was looking and reading, I think possibly it was released elsewhere last year, but the US is just now getting it. I'm a little bit unsure, but anyway, we have a man who feels very guilty about something. They're in a small town, a body is discovered. It's a pretty basic synopsis. However, Jane Harper is somebody that frequently ends up on the Goodreads Choice Awards in this category, so I thought it was worth mentioning because people obviously love her for a reason. Next we have The Burning Girls by C.J. Tudor. It comes out February 9th. Some buzzwords here: vicar, English countryside, secrets, and missing girls. I have read one book by C.J. Tudor, and it was very well crafted. However, there were certain things about it that made me incredibly uncomfortable, which was the point. However, it also made me kind of hate the book, which wasn't fair because the book itself was good. It was just like that one aspect I really didn't like. Anyway, I want to give this author a second chance. These are things that appeal to me. Next up we have Black Widows by Cate Quinn. It comes out February 9th. So this kind of reminded me a little bit of The Wives by Taryn Fisher, and then it was compared to The Wife Between Us or something. I never read that one, but anyway, there are 3 women who have been widowed, and they're all accused of murdering their husband, who happens to be the same person. So like all 3 of them find out they were married to this man, or maybe they already knew they were married to the same man. Anyway, he's murdered. All 3 of his wives are being looked at as suspects. And that sounds like it's going to be drama-filled, and I am intrigued. Next, coming on February 9th, we have Let Her Lie by Bryan Reardon. In this one, we have a documentary filmmaker, and his, big hit happened, and then he kind of fell off, and nobody cared about him anymore, so in an effort to become relevant again, he decides to take on this serial killer's story. So I am one of those women who find serial killers to be endlessly fascinating. I don't know what it is. It's something about the psychology, and then, figuring out if it's truly random or if there's some distinct feature that connects all his victims. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I will be curious to see how this book tackles it. The next one I'm kind of unsure about, and I'll tell you why. It's Do No Harm by Christina McDonald. It comes out February 16th. Reading the synopsis, it's basically like Breaking Bad, but with a female lead. And I don't know how I feel about that one, because it's already been done, and quite well. So I think there's going to be a lot to live up to there. But then I also would be curious to see if this author is able to take basically a plot line that's already been done and done well and reinvent it somehow. The last one in this category is actually more of a horror book, I think. It's called The Upstairs House by Julia Fine. It comes out February 23rd. Basically, it explores postpartum depression, but it's intertwined with some kind of ghost activity in the house, and I will be intrigued to see how this goes down. I read The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman and loved it. It's a very, very short story, but it's impactful, and I think that it has made me more interested in the exploration of postpartum depression, how it's treated, how it was treated in the past, and what it can really do to a woman if it's neglected. So I'll be interested to see how this author handles the topic and how deeply she explores it. And really, I want to know how the ghosts play into it. I'm curious. Next section, historical fiction. There are a lot in this category. And something that I learned, which is very interesting, so this is maybe a fun exercise for people to do. Take a genre you're incredibly interested in, that you really love, gather a ton of books that are from that genre, and then try to write 5-word synopses about them. And just see if they all start sounding like the same book. Because that's what happened with a lot of the World War II historical fiction. And that's fine. I don't care. I have a type. I like World War II historical fiction. I like to see similar tropes within it. So for me that's okay, but it was just really interesting to see. So there are a lot of other World War II historical fictions that I kind of just cut out because I was like, this sounds like the exact same book. So I tried to pull the ones that I thought had a little different aspect to it, or had a little something extra that made me more intrigued than the others. So to start with, February 1st, Where Madness Lies by Sylvia True. This is a multi-generational story. It takes place over the course of from 1934 to 1984, and it discusses the harm caused by psychiatric institutions, and it's based on the true story of the author's family, which makes it incredibly interesting to me. Next, on February 2nd, we have The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. Now, Kristen Hanna is known for being excellent with historical fiction and across a number of different eras. This one takes place during the Dust Bowl, and her main character is faced with some difficult decisions. If you know much about the Dust Bowl, you'll know that it kind of happened along with the Great Depression, and anybody who was affected by the Dust Bowl also kind of had the depression stuff tacked onto it, so even trying to decide whether or not to leave your home, which is a hard enough decision to make, was made even harder by the fact of you may not be able to find a job even when you get to where you're going anyway, and so will you really be better off? So I'll be interested to see how she explores those themes. Also coming on February 2nd, and I'm a little bit hesitant about this one, but we'll see. The Unwilling by Josh Hart. This takes place during the Vietnam War era, which, is that really historical fiction? I don't know. I never know where to draw the line with historical fiction, but that's fine. We're following these two characters. One has gone to serve in the Vietnam War. However, it really affected him poorly, and when he comes back home, he ends up in jail. He is released. He and his brother go out to hang out, have a day out. They're in the wrong place at the wrong time and end up being wrongfully accused of murder. Or are they? Next, we have The Nature of Fragile Things by Susan Meisner. Also comes out February 2nd. Good Lord, lots of books on February 2nd. The basics here is it takes place during the San Francisco earthquake, and it involves a mail-order bride who also happens to be an Irish immigrant. So that's interesting. I don't get a whole lot of mail-order bride stories. The last one on February 2nd in this category is Send For Me by Lauren Fox. It's World War II, however, it follows mainly a family who immigrates to the United States during World War II. And then we're also following 2 generations later, the granddaughter of the original immigrant. She discovers the love letters written by her grandmother, or to her grandmother. I'm not totally clear, because with letters it's always a little odd, because you would think the ones that her grandmother had would be the ones that were written back to her, but it could always be that she just didn't keep the original letters. Or she just didn't send the original letters? I don't know. But yeah, I'll be really interested to see how that goes down, and if it is just letters she wrote to somebody and then never sent. I really tend to enjoy books that have an aspect of letters being discovered or a diary being discovered, things of that nature. Next, we have The Paris Library by Janet Skaislin Charles. Comes out February 2nd. Again, World War II, multi-generational, except this surrounds a library, and I am always down for a good story with a library. Oh, this one I'm kind of interested in, even though it's a historical romance. It's A Lady's Formula for Love by Elizabeth Everett. Comes out February 2nd. Female scientists in Victorian England, and that's why I'm interested. Next up, The Other Mrs. Sampson by Ralph Webster. Comes out February 15th. It's a story about family secrets and 2 women discovering that they share a husband. Very interesting dynamic there, and I will be curious to see what the author does with it. My thing here is that it's written by a man, and I tend to find books written by men about women, especially written about very emotional things that a woman would be going through. I'm just hesitant. I'm hesitant to know how they could have enough intimate knowledge with the situation to be able to write it convincingly. So we'll see about that. Okay, then we have The English Wife by Adrienne Chin. It comes out February 16th. Once again, Well, this isn't World War II, this is post-World War II. And it's a multi-generational story about family secrets. Do we see a trend? And the last one here, this one's World War II as well, but it's a little bit different. The Kitchen Front by Jennifer Ryan. There is a cooking competition that is hosted by some kind of cooking show, and it surrounds the idea of how to cook during rationing and how to make complete nutritional meals during such strict rationing. And I think that sounds fantastic, because that's an area of World War II that I don't think is explored very often in books. So basically, these women want to compete, and then they'd be offered like a position on the show, which is not something that really happened for women then. So I'm curious. At first, I just like kind of dismissed it, and then as I read more of the synopsis, I was like, oh, you know what? That could be cool. Okay, next category, fiction. There's actually kind of a lot in this category. Normally I don't have this many. This is anything that would be considered like literary fiction, contemporary fiction, anything along those lines. First up, on February 2nd, we have The Removed by Brandon Hobson. This is about a Native American family dealing with grief. I think I've already said it in this video, but I'm trying to read more books about Indigenous people by Indigenous authors, and this could fit into that nicely. Next we have A City of a Thousand Gates by Rebecca Sachs. It comes out February 2nd. This one's interesting. It is essentially a large cast of characters, and the book explores how their stories intersect in modern-day Israel and Palestine. This kind of reminds me a little bit of what The Night Watch by Sarah Waters did, but instead of World War II Britain, it's modern-day Israel. So I'm very interested in reading that. Next up, Dark Horses by Susan Mihalik. It comes out February 16th. I literally wrote equestrian prodigy with daddy issues, and that sounds very flip, okay? But I didn't know how else to put it, because the range of issues that are happening between this young girl and her father are pretty vast, and I was trying to keep the synopsis short. It is a very serious topic. If you are curious to know more, I think you should definitely go look it up on Goodreads, because it's going to be a heavy read, and it's not going to be for everybody. Next, we have All Girls by Emily Layden. It comes out February 16th. This I saw shelved as YA as well as just adult fiction, and I'm not totally certain where it really belongs, because it follows these 9 girls at a New England prep school and how they deal with the fallout of an administrative scandal. But because there wasn't a ton of detail given about the administrative scandal, I wasn't really sure where to put it, so I just threw it here. Better safe than sorry. Okay, this one I'm really excited about, and this is not my usual genre. Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. It comes out February 23rd. It is a woman who has a PhD in astronomy. She is queer and gets married in Vegas, and it's just kind of how things progress from there. It sounds like it's gonna be funny. I love a smart woman protagonist. Love it. This one's a little bit hard to explain. It's called The Family Ship by Sonia Yerg. I'm probably not pronouncing that right at all. It comes out February 23rd. It takes place in the Chesapeake Bay in 1980. We're following an 18-year-old girl, and she is from a very large family, and she wants to get out. She wants to go to college. However, the family has this weird quirk, shall we say? They have this oyster boat that they have kind of turned into this make-believe, like, battleship type of situation. And the synopsis was really weird, and it was hard to figure out what was going on. So if you're intrigued by what's going on there, definitely look it up on Goodreads, because I don't know, like, something weird is happening there. Woo! Last section, nonfiction. So many good nonfiction coming out this month. If you are a lover of nonfiction, please watch this whole section. First things first, on February 2nd, there's actually like 4 or 5 books coming out on February 2nd. 400 Souls, A Community History of African America from 1619 to 2019 by Ibram X. Kendi and Keisha N. Blaine. It comes out February 2nd. Did I already say that? I think I already said that. Basically, it's a 400-year history of the Black American experience, and I think this is going to be a very valuable read. Next, we have The Women's History of the Modern World, How Radicals, Rebels, and Every Woman Revolutionized the Last 200 Years by Rosalind Miles. Have I been seeing the release dates? I don't know. They're going to be in the description box if I haven't said them. This is essentially about women who left their mark on history from the French Revolution to the present day, and I am hoping that there will be some stories I've never heard before. Based on what I was reading in the synopsis, it sounds like there's a wide and diverse range of women's stories included in here, so I'm very interested in that. Next up is probably the nonfiction I am most looking forward to, and I will explain why once I give you the title. Four Lost Cities, A Secret History of the Urban Age by Annalee Newitz, coming February 2nd. So, during August, when we did the History Challenge, there was a tag, and one of the questions was, what do you want to see more of in history books? And I said that really I think what I want to see more of in history kind of comes from archaeology, actually. And I mentioned that I would love more information on like abandoned cities like Angkor Wat in Cambodia. And this book investigates 4 ancient cities, one in central Turkey, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name because it's intense. Pompeii in Italy, which is like a little on the boring side because that's been done a lot. Angkor in Cambodia, which is something I am interested in. And then Cahokia, which was an indigenous metropolis that was located in present-day East St. Louis. Everything about that sounds fascinating and amazing, and I hope they have pictures. Oh my goodness. Okay, also on February 2nd, we have The Three Mothers, How the Mothers of Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and James Baldwin Shaped a Nation by Anna Malika Tubbs. I don't really think I need, like, the title is pretty comprehensive there. And I think it's pretty obvious, like, why you would maybe want to pick that book up. Okay, this next one, I'm very hesitant to read. It's called The Rope, A True Story of Murder, Heroism, and the Dawn of the NAACP by Alex Tresnowski. Comes out February 9th. It takes place in 1910 and covers the murder of 10-year-old Marie Smith and how this is what launched the NAACP. Based on the fact that the title is called The Rope, and it is discussing the murder of a 10-year-old girl, I'm not sure I can handle that emotionally. I am a little bit afraid of what I'm going to find there. So it's going to be one of those where I have to be in the right frame of mind if I'm going to pick it up. But I am terrified. Okay, this one's a little bit more fun. The Princess Spy, The True Story of World War II Spy Aline Griffith, Countess of Romanones? I don't know. By Larry Loftus, coming February 9th. I thought it was important to note that the synopsis said for fans of A Woman of No Importance and Code Girls, because I know a lot of people who really enjoyed those books. So if you are one of those people who enjoyed either one of those reads, this one might be for you. It follows a woman who was an American model and she became a World War II spy. Next, How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, The Solutions We Have and the Breakthroughs We Need by Bill Gates, comes out February 16th. It's just his plan to avoid a climate catastrophe. I think the title kind of sums it up. Next, I am so excited about this. This is actually the last one on the list. I made pretty good time. Okay. Confident Women, Swindlers, Grifters, and Shapeshifters of the Feminine Persuasion by Tori Telfer. It comes out February 23rd. I enjoy stories about con men and con women, although you really hear more about con men. I don't. I feel like most people have probably seen the movie Catch Me If You Can. I think that's what it's called. It has Leo DiCaprio, and it covers the story of Frank Abagnale, and he just like conned people for years out of money and all kinds of things, and then was eventually caught and went to work for the FBI. But this is about women. And so I'm hoping that I will like these stories like 10 times as much. The other thing I'm concerned about is a lot of times when you get these types of books that try to take a theme and then cover a bunch of people who kind of fit that theme, like their life stories fit that theme, it can end up being not enough information and it can feel kind of bland because there's just not enough detail given. So I will be interested to see, one, how long this ends up being, two, how many women it exactly covers, and three, whether or not the author is able to be concise with the storytelling but still add enough flavor to keep it interesting. So those are the February new releases that I have my eye on. What are you looking at for February? Are there any books that you are intrigued by that I have on my list? Are there any that I don't have on my list that you're interested in or that you think I might like to know about? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. If you're new here and you like my content, subscribe. Stick around. I love to see you in my comments. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you soon. Bye.